focus is on how women, because it's not everybody who can be an entrepreneur, right? So let's not keep telling the young girls that everybody has to be an entrepreneur. Some people are bureaucrats. They have to go to an office and work in an office. It's okay too, because we can't all be entrepreneurs. If you tell me to start my own business, I don't think I even have the love of starting my own business, so I wouldn't thrive as much as I'm thriving in a corporate environment. So I think each one to their own, and you have to find your strength, and you have to know where your strength lies and then build on that. If you're working in the corporate environment, you should not restrict yourself to just your job description. And for me, that is what has worked for me. I always go beyond the call of duty. I always think, but I don't do that to the detriment of what my job description is saying. I make sure that I do what I'm brought in to do, but think out of the box, and how do I add value to the whole organization? It's all about adding value to the organization. It's all about making yourself very critical to the organization that, look, yes, everybody is replaceable. We know that, we talk about that all the time, which is okay. But it has to, your employers have to be, they have to be at a point where they don't want to lose you, because they see the value you bring to the organization. So for me, your focus should be, how do you go beyond the call of duty to add value to the organization? There are always so many ways that you can do this. And I mean, each industry is different, but for me, what has really worked for me is I've never limited myself to my job description. I've always gone out of my way to do other things that will add value to the organization. And that is what I will encourage every young person who is getting into the corporate environment to have that mindset, right? And you asked a very profound question, how do I survive? Because I don't have a corporate background. My guys will tell you, I study. Studying doesn't only end when you leave university. Every day of your life, you have to keep reinventing yourself. And by reinventing yourself, it means reading more, asking questions. And what I do best is, I have a team of ladies who help me with my presentations. Like, if I have to go and talk somewhere, they will write something for me. They will do the research for me. But the night or the day before, I spend the time reading. The next day I come in, there's nothing you ask me on that particular topic that I can't talk to you. And I think what also works for me is that technology, the use of technology in companies has really changed. Why do I say that? In the past, it was only the IT manager and the CIOs who were responsible for driving IT in the organization. It has moved beyond that. Now board members want to know about your IT strategy, because it's IT that drives innovation. And if you don't have a very solid, sound IT system in your organization, you are not going anywhere. How do you mine your data? How do you ensure that all the data that you're getting, you are now turning it into something that can help you take informed decisions? That is not just a function of the IT manager anymore. The board members, the CEOs, the CIO, the C-suite, so head of retail banking, head of wholesale banking, everybody wants to know how IT can help them create competitive edge. Now, the advantage I have is I'm not a technical person, so I can break it down to a level where you understand. Usually when technical people are talking to you, they use technical jargons that you're like, hang on a minute, slow down, I don't understand. I don't understand any of them myself, so I don't use them. But I use language that can relate to any C-level executive. So they get it, they understand the importance of technology without disturbing them with all the jargons that IT has to offer. So I think I actually have an advantage just because I don't have a technical background, and I can relate very well with the C-level executives, which is who are our target audience. So yes.
Marketing.
That's for marketing.
So how did you learn the picture?
So, good question. So I did the marketing for 2 years, and I was responsible for West Africa. Then after the 2 years, I was promoted to work as the head of strategy for Africa. So I was moved to Nairobi. I was based in Nairobi for 2 years, still working with IBM, but responsible for strategy for Central, East, and West Africa. Then I worked hard. I was still selling even though I wasn't a seller. When I was in marketing, I was selling even though I wasn't a seller. I didn't restrict myself to what my job role told me I had to do. I was always thinking out of the box. The way I pictured my role was that if I'm head of strategy and I'm looking at how the strategy really works, it's all about selling. If I've never really gone through the whole selling process, I wouldn't understand what the sellers go through and how we can tweak the strategy to make sure that it covers all the loopholes that we have in the selling chain. So I was always like really focused on selling even though I wasn't supposed to be a seller. So I closed a couple of large deals. Actually, the largest deal we have in this part of the world, in smarter cities, I championed that deal even though I wasn't a seller. So I think I got the attention of the key people in Dubai. So when my predecessor, Joe Mensah, resigned, I got a call. I think they interviewed extensively to find somebody to replace Joe, because that time I was still in. And I hear one day the guy who runs Middle East and Africa said, "Why are you interviewing? Bring Angela and let her run it." And everyone was like, "Oh, but she hasn't done sales before. In the history of IBM, we've never had a woman run a country before. She doesn't have sales experience." You know, I ticked all the wrong boxes. But this guy thought, you know, she would do an awesome job. And I came in with a lot of people thinking, can she do it? Is she ready? And that made me want to work hard. It made me want to succeed. I just wanted to do something different to pave the way for other women. Because I believe women are awesome. And when we put our minds to doing something, we do it and we do it flawlessly. So that has always been my drive. So I came in and I worked hard. And I had a very supportive team as well who they love to work with you. You know, I scream sometimes. Yeah.
So that means in the whole world you're the first woman
In the whole of Africa. The
to
whole of
head
Africa.
IBM in the
Yeah.
country.
A woman to run a country. And
That's-
also someone who's never done sales in IBM
And who hasn't got tech background?
who hasn't got a tech background. I don't have an engineering background. Most of the people have like engineering background. My first degree was in marketing and French. And then my second degree was in international business. Then I did a PLD in Harvard. So mine is more on marketing and leadership. How did I get into IBM? Long story, but fast forward. I got a call from IBM. I'm a banker by profession. So I was working at GT Bank as head of consumer banking that time, and I got a call from IBM that they were looking for a marketing executive for West Africa. And I hated IT. I was very, very adverse to anything to do with technology. I mean, at home, I can't even turn on those days it was DVD player. If my kids are not there, I don't touch the TV because I couldn't work out the different remotes. I just didn't like IT. But God has a way of, you know, taking you out of your comfort zone and making you do things that really will expand you. So when I got the call, I remember going home and I called my mom and I was like, "Oh, can you imagine IBM, big technology company? They know I don't have any IT background, but they're really keen to talk to me." And my mom, who was, at that time, she was in her 70s, she said, "Why don't you consider this? Because technology is the future. And it doesn't matter even if you want to come back into banking one day, having the exposure in the technology industry would really help you. And you keep complaining you're getting bored with banking, so maybe that's an answer to your prayers." So I was like, okay. So the next day I called the IBM team and I said, "Yes, I would like to come and see you." And the minute they saw me, they said, "The job is yours." I mean, we spoke for 5-10 minutes and the guy was like, "The job is yours." So
And that's for